Hey everybody, Brian from Innisfil Creek Honey. Today we're going to do a fun and useful thing out of some cheap things I found on the internet. So we're going to build a steam generated wax melter to wax cappings from extracting honey, and also for melting wax off of frames. So I went on the internet and I found some on Vevor.com or .ca. I found a 16-gallon brew kettle. So this is a brew kettle for making beer, and it comes fully assembled like this. You have a temperature gauge, a valve in the bottom, a nice big lid, and inside it has a offset strainer that pulls out of it. And at the very bottom it has a drain tube coming out to the valve. Has this nice little screen filter on here that will help keep the big pieces from flowing out the drain hole. So we got that. The only other thing you need is a steam generator. And this is a Wagner steam generator. I'm going to include links in the bottom below in the description to both of these products so that you can purchase them. I am an affiliate, so if you do purchase them through the links, I'll get 50 cents or something like that. But we're going to walk you through how to turn these two items into a fantastic little wax melter to melt your wax cappings and wax off of old frames. Okay, so continue watching and we'll get going on this. So we have our lid, and because we want to hook the steam generator up to our lid, we need to drill a hole in the lid. The Wagner steamer comes with this little fitting that we can use to put through the lid and attach our hose for a steamer to it. So we're going to get our drill. We're going to match up the size of your drill with the size of the bolt going through. This is stainless steel. So what you want to do is borrow a drill bit off of your employee Mike. Because if you borrow his drill bit, then you'll wreck his drill bit and not yours. Stainless steel is a little rough on drill bits, so just be aware that the drill bit you use will probably be sacrificed to drill this hole. So we're going to drill that hole, and then we're going to hook this fitting up inside the pot. So we got the hole drilled into the lid here, and then we're going to take this fitting, and it comes included with the Wagner steamer. Has a small side and a long side coming out, but we'll take the small side, shove it through that hole. Then we're going to screw the little bolt on the end of it, and then tighten it up. And we're just going to finger tighten it because there's going to be no stress on this. This is just to hold the hose from the steamer. Now this sits on top of your lid and has that fitting on that we can take the hose from our steamer and we can screw that hose right on the top of that fitting. Then we can take the other end of the hose and hook it up to our steam generator. Important when you're working with steam or heat inside a closed vessel to understand that the steam and the heat has to go somewhere. So when you're operating this, you'll always want to have the ball valve open so that you don't build pressure up inside the pot and cause a scalding burn. So just be aware, you want to keep that open. You also want to have the lid just sitting lightly on, so if it does build up pressure, the pressure can release through the lid. So what we've done here is we've taken some paper towel and we put paper towel down on top of that grid. And then on top of the paper towel, I've just taken some old brood comb and threw that on top. Now what's going to happen is the steam's going to come in, start melting the wax. The wax is going to drip down through that paper towel. and filter it. And then also I have, this is a frame of pure beeswax foundation. So I'm just gonna stick that down in there. And I have these frames here that were cut comb. So we cut the cut comb out of them. And now they have this beeswax built into the frame that we need to clean out before we can put another piece of foundation in. So I'm gonna take those and try to jam them down in there. And then I'm gonna put the lid on. One thing I'm going to do is that this nozzle here is about an inch off the bottom of the pot. So I'm gonna get some hot water and dump in a bunch of hot water into the pot so that it fills the bottom of the pot up to the top of that nozzle. To keep the wax from sticking to the bottom of the pot, it'll float on top of that hot water and any excess will drip out the front thing. Okay. So after I get that thrown in, we'll get back, we'll turn the steamer on, and then we'll see how this works out. So we now have enough water in there, and it'll run out the bottom. I just want enough water to get up just above the nozzle there, so any wax coming in may drip out the front. So I'm gonna grab the lid, throw it on top. Inside we have our wax, a couple frames there, wax in the bottom. Throw the lid on top like that. Then go get my steamer, hook it up, turn it on, see what we can do. So we have the hose hooked to the top of the pot here, screwed into that little bolt that we put through the lid. That is connected to the outlet pipe of the steam generator. Now this is the Wagner steam generator. You can get it on Amazon. There is an affiliate link below for this. The way this works is, this is the fill cap here. You take this, you fill it up to water, and then on the label it says max fill. So you don't want to fill it any higher than this. And then you don't want it any lower than the bottom edge here. So once it gets about an inch left in the bottom, you want to shut it off and fill it back up again. Once you fill it up, you got to make sure the lid is put on snug so the steam doesn't get out. And on top of the lid there's a pressure release valve here that will, if it builds too much pressure up, if the hose gets kinked or plugged, this little valve will blow out and it'll let the steam out the top. So make sure that the top of the generator is not blocked with anything. So we have our wax in the tank. We have our generator filled with water. And now we simply, don't know if I can do this with one hand, we can simply plug the generator in. You want to use a appliance grade or heavy gauge extension cord, and you want to use a short cord. You don't want to use a 100-foot long cord. That'll draw too much amperage and create heat. So try to use a appliance cord and the shortest one you can to your plug, or just plug the generator right into the outlet in the wall. Now this is going to sit here. That's going to start heating up the water, boiling the water. When the steam starts coming, it'll start pumping through the hose and then go into the pot. Important to keep the valve open on the pot and to allow the steam out. So the idea is the steam's going to come into the pot, heat the air in the pot up, melt the wax. Excess steam and water with the melted wax is going to pour out that nozzle. Okay, so we'll wait for that to heat up and then we will show you what's happening. So you'll see with the steamer going, the temperature inside the kettle is sitting exactly at 100 degrees Celsius, and that's 12 Fahrenheit for the American people.
which is at the rate where the temperature of that kettle inside, that steam inside, is going to melt all of the wax in there. So you can see it's dribbling out. Now this isn't a fast process. It's something that's going to take a little while. But once you load up the kettle, you're just plugging in the steamer and letting it run. So there's no labor involved. It's something you could do. You could set up on your bench, get it going, do some other stuff while this is working. And after an hour or so, your wax is melted. And look how pretty and yellow that's coming in there. Quite nice. This will be the first round, and then once you get this done, you're still going to have to melt it down again afterwards to do the second filtration on it. But this will get the major amount of that slum gum and dirt and debris out of your wax. And importantly, it will hopefully melt all the wax out of those grooves in the cut comb frames. And that's the real reason why I'm building this. I'm building this mainly to process our cut comb frames after we've harvested, so that I can get all that wax out of there easily enough that we can put more foundation in the frames to reuse them. A lot easier to do this than to actually scrape all those frames off. So we're going to continue with this for a little bit, and then we'll show you the end results. So no more wax is dripping out the front of the wax melter. So we're going to come over and gently try to unplug the wax melter or the steam generator. Now we're not going to touch anything. Everything's 100 degrees Celsius or 212 or 13 degrees Fahrenheit for the US people. So we're going to let this sit here and cool down. You can see the wax in the pail floating in there. That again is hot. So we're gonna let that sit down for an hour or so and cool down, and then we'll open it up and show you what we have. So it's cooled down now. Open up the lid and we'll look at what's left. So this was that frame with the wires and the honeycomb in it. It's melted all of the wax out. A little bit of slum gum left on it, and that's just hive debris. This is that frame from the honeycomb that had the wax all in the grooves, and you can see it's all cleaned out. There's a little bit of debris or slum gum on this from that other frame. So if I'm going to do this again, I might just put the honeycomb frames in by themselves without any other frames in there, so I don't get that stuff on there. So you can see that frame there. That's what the frame would have looked like. So this is the one on the right is one that hasn't been melted yet. The one on the left is one that all the wax is melted off. So it did a really good job cleaning that up. Like I said, with that black gunk that came off the other frame, when I'm melting these honeycomb frames, I might just use just them so they don't get any debris on them from the other ones. In the bottom, you can see our paper towel at the bottom, and it has all this slum gum on top of it. So this is all the stuff, all the cocoons, all the debris that's in the hive. That paper towel helped filter all that out so it stayed out of our wax. So we can just roll that all up. We can take this and discard it. In the bottom of the wax melter, after we pull the grate out, you'll see a nice disc of wax that stayed in the bottom, didn't leak out the front. I guess I unplugged it a little too early. So there we have some nice yellow wax in the bottom of that we can throw in a crock pot and melt down and clean up a little bit more. You'll have to do a second melt on this, but you can do that because you've got most of the debris out of it already. You can do that in a crock pot or a wax melter while you're making candles. And this is the bucket where all of the little pieces of wax came in. And you can see there's a little bit of debris. Now I did this outside, so there are a few bees in here, bees and hornets that were flying around smelling the wax. So it'd be better to do something like this inside. But you can see it's just wax. different colors of wax. It was brood comb in there, so we did get some nice yellow wax, but we did get some little brownie wax from there. And it's pretty clean. Again, you could take this now and put it in a crock pot, melt it down, and do a final filter on it, and it would be quite clean after that. So that is our wax melter. A really nice way to get the debris out of your beeswax if you have cappings that are from extracting honey, or old comb that you've been collecting out of the hives as you're scraping cross comb out and stuff like that. Or you just have old frames that you're culling out of your system and you want to get the wax off the foundation. This little wax melter would be a great addition to your beehive arsenal without costing you too much. So the Vevor Brew Kettle, which comes with everything, I think that was $178 Canadian. Don't know what it'll be on the US site. So $178 Canadian. It's a very heavy gauge stainless steel. Comes with the valve, comes with the thermostat, so you know what the temperature is. Comes with this really nice offset strainer that fits in the bottom, and the lid. So for $178 Canadian, you get the pot. And then I believe the steamer was around $86 Canadian off of Amazon. And it comes with the steamer, the hose, and the fitting that goes through your pot, so you don't actually even have to go to the hardware store to pick up anything other than a drill bit. So if you're looking at melting your wax, you're a little bit handy. You want to play around with steam. Think about building yourself a steam generated wax melter. Probably one of the more cost-effective ways to process the dirty gum, slum gum, out of your beeswax. Anyways, Brian from Innisfil Creek Honey. Get outside, enjoy your bees, enjoy the beautiful country you live in. Have a good one.